Hey, welcome to the intermediate / advanced hypopressive class. Okay, welcome to the intermediate or advanced hypopressive class. We're going to start on the floor today. And things that may be helpful would be like if you had a double lacrosse ball or something more like a gentler kid squishy ball or lacrosse yoga ball, a yoga block or a bolster, and then whatever you like to kneel on eventually. So we're going to be somewhat focused on trying to really work on lengthening through our spine and the transition between the thoracic spine and the lumbar spine, or the mid back and the low back. So let's just go ahead and come down onto our mats, onto our back. Oh, you know what? And while we're here, let's do a quick check of our flexibility. So just sitting in long sitting, I want you to kind of drop your head and then let your hands slide down your shins to your feet. And just notice how far you're able to get. Can you touch your toes? Can you go beyond your toes? Do your knees start to bend? What kind of tension or sensation do you have through the back of the leg and or into the low back? So we'll note that and recheck at the end. Let's go ahead and lay down on our mats. And let's also check in now. I'm not going to leave you here too long, but I want you to let your legs come out and lay flat. And when you're laying here, I just want you to let's go from toes up to head and just notice how we feel in relation to the floor. So are our toes pointed up? Are they kind of rolled out? Is one rolled out more than the other? How much of the back of our leg is on the mat? If we come up to our bottom and sacrum area, can we feel that compressing against the mat? And where does our low back start to lift off? How much of our back is kind of pulled up off the mat versus being able to relax into the mat? And then come up to your chest and notice, do you feel like your chest is relaxed? Do you feel like it's kind of tipped back, or ribs are tipped up towards the ceiling and behind you? And then up through the mid, shoulders, and head and neck. Does your neck feel relaxed here? Is your chin sort of tilted towards the wall behind you? Or can it kind of rest in a neutral position? And then you can even check in with your arms. If they're down by your side and your palms are down, are your shoulders still in contact with the floor? Or are they kind of pulled up off of the floor? And is it different if you roll your hands out? So we'll check in with that at the end too as well. Let's bring our knees up now. So slide each foot up towards your bottom. And notice for some of you that may kind of ease the low back, tip the pelvis back into a little bit more of a neutral position. So we're going to start with just little clocks here to start loosening this area up before we start using mobilization tools. So we've done this in some of the classes. Pelvic clock, 12 is at the top, 6 is at the bottom, 3 and 9 on the side. If when you're laying here, you feel a lot more of your sacrum or the middle part of your pelvis, a lot more pressure there through the mat than a little bit wider, then what you could do is you could take a small washcloth or like a sock and fold it and just place it behind that mid butt, mid sacrum, to give you just a little extra kind of mobility for that sacrum. some of us, especially if we've had babies, the sacrum can get almost kind of shoved back, like a little bit wedged between the pelvic bones, and getting a little bit of space in there can feel nice. So let's either with or without that. It shouldn't be painful either way. Let's rock between 12 and 6. You're going to make your clock whatever size feels comfortable for you. Usually kind of like Goldilocks. If you start in the middle, that's pretty good. And then you could start smaller and slowly go larger as things feel like they kind of loosen up and start gliding a little bit easier. Good. Now let's do 3 to 9. So this is more side to side. Trying to keep our knees in the middle, even though we're rotating the hips to each side. And then we can come into diagonals. So imagining where 1 or 2 on the clock is, and going over and across to 7 or 8. And you might notice that one of those diagonals is a little trickier. They'll come back to the center. And we're thinking about 10 and 11 on the clock, down to 4 or 5 on the clock. Let's come up to 12, and let's try to hit every number clockwise. Going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then let's reverse that. 9, down to 6, around to 3, and back up to 12. Very good. All right, if you had a little something under you, you can take it out now. And either way, just notice maybe, do you feel any more of your back kind of relaxing into the mat now? So I want us to take a ball if you have it. If you don't have a ball, you can use a towel roll. Foam roll might be a little bit big, but let's take our kind of squidgy ball here. And let's place it kind of where your base of your sports bra would be. So not quite between the shoulder blades, but above where your low back starts. So around there, but play with whatever feels like it's comfortable to you, okay? And then I want you to give your head and neck a little support and see if you can slowly lean back over that. Now, if that's too intense in your low back, then take a folded up towel or your yoga block or your yoga poof and place it under your hips, and then bring the ball under your back and see if that's a little bit more tolerable. And let's open our palms wide here. And I want you to just let your knees a little bit fall left and right. Don't have to go really far because that may feel a little pinchy in your low back. Good. And roll off the ball and see if you can bring it a little bit higher, maybe a couple inches higher, and then come back on there. If you feel like your head is tipping way too far back, give yourself a little support with your hands. If you feel like that's pinching or putting too much pressure in your low back, you can give yourself a little support under the hips with your hands or a bolster. And here, I want you to take your left arm up towards kind of a high Venus. And then bring the feet together and let the legs fall just a little bit to the opposite side or to the right. And then I want you to bring those back. Think about kind of pulling your ribs back first, then coming to the pelvis and then down to the knees. Bring the left arm down. Take the right arm up on a high diagonal towards high Venus, palm up towards the ceiling. Let the knees slowly fall to the left, allowing some length. So we're kind of lengthening from the fingertips down to that right knee. And when you come back, bring the ribs, kind of press them into that squidgy ball. Slowly bring the hips back and then the knees. Very good. Let's roll onto our side. Let's bring the ball up one more time. So now it might be a little more between shoulder blades here. Give your head a little support as you come onto your back. Notice, do you feel like your neck can tolerate coming down onto the mat, or does it still need a little support? And we're going to start with arms out by our side. And here I want you to breathe in and take the arms up overhead. We're going to see if we can go all the way up overhead here. Exhaling and slowly bringing them down. Breathing in. And out and down. Good. Let's roll. Take the ball out. Roll back onto your back. And now with your legs bent, arms down by your side, let's check in with our back again. Do we feel some ease, some relaxation, maybe more of the back is able to kind of sink and settle into the mat there without feeling so pulled off? And then I want us to come up to our head and neck. Turn the palms up and give just a little squeeze of the shoulder blades behind you and down just a bit, as long as that feels okay down through the arms. And I want you to kind of nod your chin. We're going to think about that clock again. And I want you to nod your chin gently down to 6. And gently up to 12. Make the clock kind of small here. Down to 6. To 12. So you're kind of just nodding yes here. Now come to the middle of the clock. And let's nod no, or 3 to 9. So let's think about the chin kind of going over to 3. Over to 9. You might notice one direction is easier. If you feel any pinching, if you feel anything going down the arm, just let that be a guide to kind of stop there. You don't need to push into that. Just notice it. I also notice that if you tuck your chin a little bit more, maybe you can turn a little further That pinching, maybe not. Good. All right, let's come down to our ribs. Let's check in with inferior border of the ribs here. And let's go down the left side, just sweeping along. We're just kind of looking for, is there anything that wants some attention over here? If there is, you could pause there, rotate your knees just a little bit. Good. Let's check in with the right side. Anything here that feels a little sticky or wanting some attention? Rotating just a bit if you find a spot like that. And then I want you to take your hands and just bring them down onto your belly. If you're comfortable, you can even let your fingertips kind of slip under your leggings if they're not too snug, so that you're kind of holding your belly like a ball. So you're kind of cupping it there. And moving your hands together, I want you to, we'll use the clock again. Let's just think about kind of holding our tummy ball and gently sort of gliding that tummy ball up to 12. And gliding it down to 6. So we're not really moving anything, we're just sort of wiggling here. If you've ever had any abdominal scars, you may notice more resistance or tugging along that scar. Let's try a little glide 3 to 9 of the belly. So everything in our abdomen needs to slide and glide and move too. So we're just kind of checking in with that. We're not really pushing or being rough with it. We're being very gentle. Let's do our diagonals. So 10 or 11 down to that 4 or 5. And 1 or 2 down to 7 or 8. And we're really just noticing. We're just sort of doing a little smushing and noticing what we feel here. Good. Okay, I want you to use a yoga block or like meditation poof or towel roll. Bring it under the back of the hip / sacrum. So it's going to be below the low back. So we're just propping our hips up here a little bit. We're going to bring our palms out to the side. Let's do palms down here. Lengthen your neck. And we're just going to do a little breath cycle here with our hips elevated. And we'll end with an apnea on the 3rd breath. So we're going to slowly breathe in for 4, 3, 2, 1. And then exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to keep our breaths really easy and light here. So we'll breathe in again, just slowly opening the rib cage. And then slowly exhaling. I'm going to make this kind of an easy inhale, easy exhale. Last breath, breathing in, gently opening the ribs. And then exhaling. At the bottom here, hold your breath. Slowly open the ribs, just slowly draw them open. Breathing in and exhaling. Very good. Let's take the poop out or your bolster out and let's move into Demeter. So feet are going a little further away from us, less of a bend in our knees, maybe 45 degrees. Feet are about hip distance apart. You're gonna dorsiflex the feet, pull the toes back towards you and press through the heels. So we're activating that back line of our body. Let's bring the arms up into a mid-Athena position. In this position, I want your palms facing towards the ceiling and widen them to about shoulder width. So we have kind of a big open circle in the front. Your shoulder should be gliding gently away from your ears, neck lengthening, and you're sort of reaching the elbows away from each other. Right here, we'll breathe in. And exhale. On the exhale, you can check in with everything growing longer and wider. Breathe in again. And exhale. Last breath. Breathing in. Exhaling, lengthening that spine, staying in contact with the mat. Hold your breath at the bottom and gently open the ribs. Keep gently opening. Breathing in. Exhaling, very good. Stay here. Keep pushing through the right foot and bring the left foot up towards the ceiling. Good, take a breath in. Exhale and bring the right hand to the left knee. Left hand goes up overhead. It may or may not touch the floor. So you've got pressure out through the right foot, pressure up through the left knee. There's still a bend in your left knee. Connecting the left thigh and right hand. And we're going to breathe in here. And exhale. Check in with your hips that they're still square with the mat. Breathe in again. Exhale slowly. At the bottom of this breath, we're going to prepare for the apnea. Hold your breath. Slowly open the ribs. Breathe in. On the exhale, bring the left leg down. Both arms come back to mid-Athena. Breathing in. Exhale, push through the left heel, bring the right heel up towards the ceiling. Keep the bend in your knee. Left hand comes to connect with the right thigh, and the right hand goes overhead. Breathing in. And exhale. We're checking in. We've got reaching through the left heel, up through the right thigh, connected to the left palm. Breathing in again. Exhale, keep those hips square. At the bottom here. Hold your breath. Slowly open the ribs. Breathe in, exhale, bring the right leg down, both hands come back to mid-Athena. Very good. Let's roll onto our side. Actually, yeah, let's roll onto our side here. So we're going to take our bottom arm, and it can give us a little support under our head, either straight or bent. And then we're going to check in with our hip and waist here. So if you're on your left side, then your right foot is going to cross over the left. You're connecting the outside of the ankles. If you're on your other side, it's gonna be opposite. And you're gonna kind of butterfly the sides of the feet together. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. Come up to your back. Check in that you're not really arched. Try to lengthen the low back, neutral spine here. Very good. And then we're going to take the arms up into a circle. So right foot is on top. Right hand is the palm that you would see if you were looking up. Okay, we're kind of opening this and opening this, and we're going to work some breath here. So we're really getting to feel breath coming into the top ribs. So breathing in. Exhale. On the exhale, focus on that sort of ring or moon over your head, kind of opening like you're trying to slide your hands off of each other, but they're not going anywhere. Breathe in again. Opening that side body. Exhaling. Good. Last breath, breathing in. Exhaling, reaching the waist long. At the bottom of this exhale, you're going to hold your breath, open the ribs. Breathing in and exhaling. Okay, I want you to stay here. We're going to do one more breath and apnea, and we're going to try rolling back in the apnea. So I'll talk you through it. We're going to breathe in. Exhale. Hold your breath. Open for the apnea. Now, keep your hips there. Slowly let your head, shoulders, trunk start rolling back, and slowly hip comes with you. Take a breath and relax. Very good. Now, if you can, just turn away from the screen so you don't have to reset everything. I'm going to flip just so I can see you. But you're going to roll onto the other side. We'll do Selene on the other side. Cross the top foot over the bottom foot, connect the outside of the ankles. Come up to your hips, lengthen, neutral spine, stack the rib cage, bring the top arm, connect the hands. The top arm is the hand that you should see if you looked up over your head. And these hands are trying to spread and open up. Breathing in. Exhaling. And breathing in. Exhale. Last breath in. Exhale. Hold your breath. Open for the apnea. Breathing in and exhaling, staying here. We're going to do one more breath cycle with the apnea and then rotate back. So breathing in. Exhale. Hold your breath. Open the ribs. Keep the hips forward as you start to bring your head, shoulders, trunk, and pelvis over. Good. Take a breath and relax. Okay, let's roll back onto our side. And we're going to transition into hands and knees. So let's try to work this with the breath. So we're here on our side. I want you to take a breath in. And then as you exhale, keep the length through your body and press up onto both hands. And let's do another breath here. And on the exhale, keep the length through your spine and press and transition up onto your knees. Good. Let's tuck the toes here for Gaia. And we'll bring the palms so that the fingertips are pointing toward each other. And we're going to have a flat back. That looks good. And then slight little shift for axis forward, just to bring a little more perfect pressure into those hands. Okay, let's do a 2-breath apnea here. So breathing in and exhaling, we're just focusing on growing long from the crown of the head out through the tailbone. And breathing in and exhaling. At the bottom here, prepare the apnea. Lift and open the ribs. Breathing in and exhaling. Good. Rotate the hands back and let your feet relax here. And I want you to play a little bit with letting your back sag, like we're going down into the cow, I think. So the rib cage is sort of sinking between the shoulder blades. The tailbone is kind of arching towards the ceiling as the belly relaxes down towards the floor. And then I want you to reverse that. Think about pushing through the arms to round the mid-back. Allow the head to fall. And I want you to think about tucking that tailbone now down towards the floor to round through the low back. And now we're going to reverse that, like a slinky that's held at two ends, up at the shoulders and the tailbone. Now, once you drop down into that cow, I want you to play with shifting your weight. So take your arms and press, shift back, keeping that arch or sag. And notice how the apex of that arch moves up the spine a bit. And then stay in that arch and pull the other way and drag yourself towards your hands. And feel maybe a different stretch through the belly and the arch move down lower through the back. And then come back to the center. Drop the tailbone. Drop the head, push through the shoulder blades. So we're rounding here. And same thing, push with the arms and feel the stretch move through a little bit lower in your back. And pull and feel the stretch move a little bit higher up your spine. Good. Let's come back to the center. Let's leave our hands in neutral here. And we'll do one more Gaia, but we'll move into a little bit of a kind of Gaia with a downward dog position. So when we do this, we're going to do our breath. And we're going to move in the apnea. I want you to focus on as you press up, pressing through the arms and keeping the space that you've created between the rib cage and the pelvis. So don't let that collapse or shorten. So we're going to breathe in. Exhale. Breathing in. Exhale. Last breath here, in. Exhale. Prepare the apnea. Open the ribs. Press through the heels. Press through the hands. Keep the space in that waist. Keep pressing, holding the apnea, a little bend in your knees. Take a breath. Exhale, stay here. Keep pushing through those arms and think about a line. Crown of your head reaching away from your tailbone. One more breath. Exhale. Hold your breath. Open the ribs, create the apnea. Slowly hold that apnea, hold the space and lower your knees back down. And take a breath in. And exhale. Very good. Let's come up into, let's actually cross our knees. And we're going to sit back. We're going to do this slowly. So I want you to breathe in. Exhale. Actually, your ankles are crossed. Sorry. Exhale. And walk your hands back to about where your knees are. Breathe in. Good. Exhale and press all the way back. Try to keep the space in your waist as you roll back onto your bottom. Okay. If you like to grab on, sit on something for Hestia, go ahead and grab that. We'll cross our legs first, bringing our pelvis up into that kind of neutral position, ever so slight axis forward. We just don't want to be tipped back. Grow that space between the bottom of the ribs and the top of the pelvis. Connect the hands here with the thighs. So feet and legs are kind of trying to open the ring, and the hand is connected here, keeping the trunk kind of propped up. And we're going to breathe in. On the exhale, bring the palms up to mid-Athena. Breathe in. On the exhale, allow the trunk to begin to turn to the left. Focus on just the sternum twisting. Arms are not moving and your sit bones are still glued. Breathing in. And on the exhale, you're going to slowly come back. Bring the sternum back to the center. Take a breath in, exhale. Let's switch the legs. So the opposite foot is in front, making you feel totally discombobulated. Breathing in. Exhale. Turning, twisting the sacrum to the right. The arms stay fixed on the trunk. Sits bones stay glued. Take a breath in. Exhale. Slowly come back to the center. Bring the arms down to low Athena. Breathe in. Exhale. At the bottom here, you're going to prepare your apnea. Hold your breath. Open the ribs. Keep opening. Bring the arms up to high Athena as you stay in the apnea. Take a breath in as you need to. Exhale. Slowly bringing the hands down. Let's uncross the legs for long sitting Hestia. So feet are out, kind of in Demeter position, dorsiflex, hip distance apart. Hands connected to the thigh. Breathing in. Exhale, take the right arm up to high Athena. Press the right heel out. Breathing in here. Exhale. Prepare your apnea. Hold your breath. Open the ribs. Breathing in, leg comes back, hand comes down. Breathing in. Exhale, take the left arm up, press the left heel out. Breathing in. Exhale, hands pressing away from each other on a diagonal. Prepare the apnea, hold your breath. Open. Breathe in as you need to. Hand and leg come back to the center. Very good. So let's bring our legs back. We should do some standing poses. And why don't you try perhaps bringing them off to the side, placing a hand down to come up to kneeling. Breathing in. Exhale and bring one foot around. And press up. And we're up. Okay, let's do a little toe spreading. Gonna bring all your toes up off the floor. See if you can just put the pinky toe down, and the other toe slowly down, and then the last thing to come down is the big toe. Soften your knees here. And let's come up into kind of checking in with our pelvis here. So just in standing with your knees a little bent, can you kind of work that clock? Tucking up to 12 and down to 6. Up to 12 and down to 6. And back to the center. Now, could you do a little 3 to 9 without rotating everything else? That is tricky. Good. All right, so see if you can find what feels like just a middle happy position between that really tough 12 and really arched 6. And adjust your knees so that you feel like you can have that ease in your back. Then I want you to come up to your trunk. So we're going to leave the back in that position and we're going to take the trunk like a bell. And we're going to try tipping the trunk like we were going up to 12, ribs coming forward in the front. And we're going to just tip the trunk back like we were going down to 6. So this is kind of tricky not to let it go all the way into the back. Let's see if you can just isolate the trunk tipping on top of that stable happy low back position. Okay, and then find what feels like a middle position. That if you took a little plumb line, it would just drop down the middle of the rib cage through that hip bone and down towards the floor. Bring your arms into a low Venus, reach through the fingertips, and let's check in with our head. Crown of the head should be growing towards the ceiling, coming off of that rib cage without making us tip the rib cage back. And here, let's practice our axis forward just a little bit. So just at the ankle, we lean like we're looking over the edge of something, Michael Jackson. And we come back and get a little more pressure in the heel. And we lean forward. Do that a few times and just notice what you feel. Do you feel a change in your back? Do you feel a change in your pelvis when you're forward, back? Or do you mostly just feel the work in your feet and ankles? So let's stop with our forward lean. And we'll breathe in here. And exhale. On the exhale, we can really focus on our back position. Sometimes on the inhale, we end up extending. So come into that neutral position on the exhale. Breathe in again. On the exhale, take your arms up to mid-Venus. Good. Fingertips are reaching wide. Breathe in again. On the exhale, don't move your trunk. Take your palms and arms up to high Venus, whatever you can get to. Keep reaching them here. Breathe in. Exhale, everything growing tall. One more breath, breathing in. Exhale. At the bottom here, hold your breath. Open the ribs slowly, slowly open them. Just focus on pulling open, growing taller as much as anything. Breathing in, exhaling, bringing the arms down to Athena, low Athena, thumbs at the crease of your hips. And from here, we're going to flex forward over that hip bend. Everything coming forward like we're leaning on a railing. So we're not shifting our bottom back. We're moving into Artemis here. Breathing in. Exhale. Open the arms up to Venus here. Breathing in. Exhale and turn the palms behind you, tuck the thumb and close your fingers around the thumb. So your fingers are pointing back behind you, wrists are flexed. Last breath here, breathing in. On the exhale, allow just your head to start to bend. Crown of the head reaching towards the floor. Hold your breath. Open for the apnea. Keep growing the space between the ribs and pelvis. Breathing in. Exhale, bring the head up, uncurl the fingers. Step one foot back behind you. Keep the back leg long. Reach the heel back. Soft bend in that back knee. So we're going into Freya. So Persephone is more the lunge position with the back leg bent, but Freya, we've got front leg bent, back leg straight. We're in a straight line from the back of our heel to the crown of our head. Get some height through the head and through the waist. Bring the arms into a mid-Athena here. Breathing in. Good. Exhale. On the exhale, press up to your toes. On that back leg. Breathe in and exhale back down. Good. Another breath, breathing in. On the exhale, press the heel up. Inhale. And back down. At the bottom here of this exhale, hold your breath. Open the ribs. Breathing in and let it go. Bring the right leg back forward like it's on a railroad. Hands are staying here, mid-Athena, reach the left foot back. Still a bit of a bend in your knee, heel is on the floor, straight line from that back heel through the back, through the crown of the head, hands in mid-Athena. Breathing in. Exhale, drive up on the toes, shifting the weight forward. Inhale and drop back down. Good. Breathing in. Exhale, pressing up. Inhale, back down. Holding here, make sure your hips are square. One more breath in. Exhale. Hold your breath. Open the ribs. Breathing in. Exhale. Bringing those feet together. Good. That was almost too fancy for me. I want us to end on the floor so we can recheck our forward bend and how we feel in contact with the floor. So let's come down that way through Hera. So feet are hip distance apart, soft bend in the knee. And let's come into kind of a low Athena. We're going to breathe in. And on the exhale, we're going to start by, we're keeping that space between your chin and chest, but you're starting to arch the head, crown of the head towards the floor on the exhale. Breathe in again. We're going to go kind of slowly through this. On the exhale, keep arching like you're like a rainbow. The head is still reaching for the floor, but you're keeping all of the space between the rib cage and the pelvis. As you continue to arc down, seeing if you can look at your belly. Hands are maybe halfway down your thigh or to your knees now. Breathe in again. Focus on the exhale, keeping the space between the pelvis and the ribs. You can allow your knees to bend as you continue to go down as you need to. Take the hands so they're out in front of your feet, 1 to 2 feet. Shift your weight onto your hands. Stay here, stay long, breathe in. Exhaling, slowly lower the knees down. Keep the space in that trunk and waist as you come all the way down. Very good. Uncurl the toes. And just let yourself come back into a child's pose if that feels good. Rest your head down. You can keep your hands by your side or put them behind you. Good. Cross the ankles. Deep breath in. Exhale and press yourself back onto your bottom. Bring the legs out in front of you. Drop your chin. Glide your fingers down the shin. And notice how your forward bend is. Very good. And then several inches more. Back up to sitting. Let's give ourselves just a minute to lay back down. Use your arms to lower you back down on your back. Allow the legs to come out in front. And let's check in with how we feel on the mat. Kind of thinking back to what it felt like when we first laid down. What's the position of the feet? How much of our leg is in contact? How much of our back? And I want you to take your hands and just place them behind your head. So you're cradling your head. And with your eyes closed, gaze with your eyes to the left, as far as you can. And then bring them back to the center. As we do this, you're noticing if you get a deep breath or a sigh or a yawn. It's okay if you don't, but you might. And then eyes closed, gaze with your eyes as far as you can to the right. You can bring your hands to a comfortable position. And just relax. Do about 1 minute of just quiet breathing. Just allowing yourself to be still. Nothing else to do. When you're ready, you can roll onto your side. Start your day.